Invisible Gardener. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me do this with you. You know, it's a hard thing for me to do, but here I am because it is so important what you are doing. And I got actually a lot of questions from a friend in Wales about growing food,
Cool.
which is become such a global thing. Just listening to Vandana Shiva and trying to get people into the regenerative movement all around the planet. There's
Right.
a there's a school in Myanmar now. I can't remember everything. I'm so sorry. But I have to bring it up because everyone should know about these incredible, it's the Golden Ground Organic, where did it go? Farm organization. Farm Society, and they're teaching people that they have native plants. This one is called Desmodium that grows natively that adds nitrogen to their soil. It actually eradicates the pests. So now they don't need pest control and they don't need nitrogen fertilizer. Now, this agri farming situation, industrialized farming, which became a big thing in 2006, and I don't want to get into Bill Gates and yada yada, but now these poor people in these places are talking about, we want to do it like our grandfather and grandmothers did. We don't need to buy all this chemical soil. There was this man, I forget his name, he was from Australia. He goes, I just picked this outside. This is Desmodium growing natively. If you keep this growing, you don't need to purchase that chemical fertilizer. So as long as we keep talking about this, we need to obliterate the Monsanto, the corp that are trying to create all this chemical farming. And
That's
the
right.
only way to do it, as far as I know, which I don't know anything, is everyone growing food.
That's right. That's
Everyone
right.
growing food. So that's what I would love to ask you some things about.
That's right. Let me say something real fast. Everywhere in the world, you have native plants to grow over in your backyard. Right here, we have things that normally grow here, New York, Montana. Different things will grow. Puerto Rico, Cuba, there's things that grow there. And all you have to do is get out of their way and they will grow it. And if you know the value of it, I'll give you an idea. You know, Ceylon, they changed the name. I don't know what they call it now. It's called Ceylon. It's a little island off the coast of India. They have this plant called feverfew. And they were selling pyrethrum because they realized, hey, it grows wild. We don't have to do anything to it other than harvest it, dry it, and sell it. That's where you get the pyrethrum from. So some company bought them out, destroyed everything. Now they're selling some other junk. So every place that we have something that you can go outside, you let it grow, and you harvest it and you use it, and that's so wonderful that they're doing that.
Right. I agree. I agree. I mean that's why I'm doing this with you because the more the people like me who are afraid to grow things from a seed, but actually am doing it now and seeing that it can grow and it's more sturdy. We just had the highest winds here the other night, and typically a little starter plant could get destroyed. But I'm seeing when it comes from a seed, it's so much you can't knock these things down. They're just like they're so much more solid. Um,
They certainly are. They certainly are. Growing in little containers, I don't know if you understand how seeds work, but the plant sends seeds down and the roots go, oh, that's as far as we can go. We're just in this little container. So a lot of times, you know how they root down, they go around in circles. Well,
right, but but Vandana Shiva talks about even a terrace you can grow food. Some people
exactly right.
have a container.
Exactly right.
The more we bring this knowledge out, I just lost my train of thought because
About growing in containers.
right, growing in containers and growing your food. Anyway, let's just start talking about it.
Sure. Containers on their porch is very different than what they grow in the nursery, which is not no soil, all chemicalized, really, really stressed out. They want them in and out. They want you to buy the plant and get rid of it right away because they'll die. There's a
Right.
big difference between growing on your porch. And we should talk a little more later on about what people should be doing to grow on their porch because there's the specific things you want to do.
Well, why don't like what?
Well, growing on the porch is a little different than growing in the soil. So you want to make sure you have the same biological environment in the container. That means you have to learn how to use compost properly. You have to learn how to invite microbes to live in there. It's a perfect environment to learn how to use carbon, for example, because carbon will make microbes grow like crazy. The worm juice will make, you can even have put some worms in there. But if you just grow it with potting soil, they're not going to be very healthy or healthy for you.
I see. I see. I know, but you know, for me who didn't know any better, I would find organic starters. I'd put them on the front porch in containers all around the front door. So when the twins were 3, they go, "Ooh," I go, "You can eat that." And they could rip it off the plant, a piece of romaine lettuce or arugula. Maybe it wasn't like as nutritious if it was grown in my backyard, which I'm doing, but it got them
Yes,
to
right,
draw and create that habit of
right.
marching off to school and grabbing something that's just growing at the front door.
Right, the plants will grow in any container in any soil. They'll grow up, and if you use a refractometer to test the nutritional level, you find there's nothing there. But yeah, you get them started in it, and you get better and better at growing nutritional food in your containers. That's the key. So grow really good, healthy food in your containers, and that's very easy to do. You just have to understand that the plants have to get the nutrients in from somewhere in order for you to eat it.
Right. Well, what
That's
about
all.
these, I've seen these farms in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where it's cold there many, many, many months of they are gorgeous facility, vertical farms,
Yeah.
not using any soil. That's kind of going off our thing, but what
Right.
is there? And then they're trying to it's beautiful the way the conveyor belt of these gorgeous
Yeah.
sprouts coming in these growing in no soil. But then I asked them, what's the mineral content of that? Is there any nutritional value to it? And they didn't know. It's
Right.
not been
So when
tested.
they grow with no soil, it's called hydroponics. And there's a big issue going on with hydroponics because they want to be considered as organic. They want to be certified organic. And the organic people are saying, no, no soil. You can't. It's not organic. So it's okay if you're a hydroponic expert. See, what happens is they make a formula, a fertilizer, a liquid fertilizer formula. And very rarely do they say, oh, we need 90 trace metals. So they make sure. And on top of that, I explained it before, we humans cannot duplicate how nature makes the minerals available to plants. So we can say iron is iron, and the plants are going, no, it's different when the microbes give it to me. So there's a big difference. So chemists like this, because I argue with chemists all the time. Oh, you can add this amount of calcium, you can add this amount, you can add all these stuff in there, and it's the same thing. The plant won't notice the difference. But it does, because they will not get all the trace minerals to them. Sure, they'll get the nitrogen, some of the big ones, the plants will grow, they look healthy, but test them with a refractometer and there's no minerals in there. So, but you
This is
can't grow them organically because it's really easy to have a worm farm, make the worm juice, provide that as a liquid. That's why I invented Super Seaweed. It was a hydroponic device. You put your trace minerals in the liquid, the plants are happy, they get the microbes. It's not sterile. You're not using, you're actually growing a really cool environment. And the plants would then be healthy and they will
Did
be
you get
super
that
strong.
juice from the worm farm?
Do what?
Did you get the juice from my worm farm already?
Yes, ma'am. I got it, and we put it out at one of our customers.
Oh, okay. And so the rain stopped and there's cardboard still over the farm.
Right. I moved this to have it should have a little crack so it breathes because you never
Okay.
know when it's going to rain.
Well,
But you can
speaking
remove
of,
it. You can
okay,
remove it.
before I forget, and I remembered what I was going to say, but I'll wait to the end of the
So
show.
that's important. The hydroponics, it's very good if they do it organically, and they will know. If you say, "What about mineral?" Oh, here it is, because they would know. If they say we don't know, they're basically saying no, there isn't.
Right. That's what I'm gathering. That's what when
Right.
I looked into it a little bit, that's what I'm
Right.
gathering. Also, I'm noticing it as it's garbage day, people are putting their brown boxes into the landfill, the blue bin.
No, those are recyclable.
No, and they could actually go in the green bin, the
Yeah.
land,
Right.
the grass where we have our grass cuttings and stuff.
They
And
do, but I think each city's a little different. They haven't really caught up. They'll see cardboard and they'll go, oh, it goes in a different place. It doesn't really,
brown cardboard goes in the green uh, compost.
cool. You're right.
Everyone around here is putting it in the wrong bin.
Right.
And I guess I have to go on next door. You have to help me say it nicely because
Yeah.
you know how
And
I
if you have a worm farm, you feed that to the worms.
the cardboard to the box. That's what made me think about it. So I looked up
Exactly right.
waste management, and no, they go into the bins with the grasses.
And interesting about recycling, something I just learned just recently. You know those when you buy a plant, they come in those black plastic containers.
Yeah.
The recycling center machine cannot read them till they're not counted as recyclable. They're not recycled. 96% of that the growing containers go back into the dump as unrecyclable.
You're kidding.
No, no, not too many people know that. So the thing to do is you go there, you say, okay, I want recyclable containers because they do have them. They made them all kinds of stuff that you actually don't even have to take them out. You just plant them in the ground. The whole thing composes really nice. But either that, you also have to say, okay, when you buy something, go back to the nursery, say, here, reuse these.
Right. Recycle. Right. I gotcha.
Is that right? So if you have your own, like I do, I have a whole bunch of them. I can just reuse them all the time because they'll last forever. But they
That's
do have a bunch of really nice. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were not recycled.
right. But I do know that even the bigger Anna Walton do-it-yourself centers have the biodegradable
They
containers
do.
that you
You
can
just
just
have to ask for them, right? You just
right.
have to ask them for them.
So can I ask you a couple things about the food that
Sure,
Alex, our
sure.
good farmer friend Alex, and well, she's just saying, basically it was things like, can you grow everything together? Can you uh
Well, one question at a time.
let's see, how much space do I need?
Well, I want to answer, can you grow everything together first?
Uh, did I just make that one up?
You just said that, right? Can you grow
I think
everything
that was my
together?
question. Can I just have everything growing in the same big area?
Mother Nature does not do straight lines. Mother Nature does not separate it. Mother Nature grows everything together.
Okay, that reminds me of this nun in Korea who was I saw on Chef's Table. She's phenomenal. Oh my God. And she let the weeds grow in it, all of it. There was nothing like how you see at Esalen and Big Sur, these pristine rows of food, which is gorgeous. But her method was absolutely
That's right.
stunning in her own way.
That's
And
right.
it just was a mosh pit of
Right.
uh, beautiful herbs, medicinal herbs,
That's
wheat,
right. That's
and
right.
it kind of kept the soil
Right.
damp.
When I
Uh,
was young, I learned really fast not to do things in a straight line. Because if I was a bug, I would go boing, 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 boing. But a bug would have to find you that plant amongst all the other ones.
right.
Hit it with rabbits or whatever.
Okay. I'll start with the first one. What essentials do I need to grow food?
Well, you have to have something to grow it in. So either in a raised bed or in a container. There are many different ways to get that going. So you can make it out of rocks. You can make it out of anything that you have in your environment. So a lot of times I would look around and go, I would take tree logs and make them out of containers out of that. Anything you have in your environment, you can use.
Now,
Then
as
you want
far
to
as
go ahead.
interior, what kind of mix of soil,
Right.
compost, and
Right,
is there
that's what I was going to say,
organic?
right. So you want to have one part your local soil that you have, wherever that is, one part of that. You want one part compost, and then you want one part, especially in the container, you want something like, usually what I get is our organic potting soil, but you can actually look around because you want something that fluffens up the soil, not compact it. So one of the reasons why I like here in the United States, you can buy organic potting soil, which is made with perlite, vermiculite. These things are normally volcanic. They fluff up the soil, but you can use any number of things in your environment that you can use to fluff it up. And if you don't have that, then you just concentrate on getting soil. If you can have somebody that's making soil. Here in the United States, we get soil. In other countries, you probably have to look around, and you would make the formula a little different depending upon what country you're in. But sometimes, in some places, we have really good soil. So it's just a matter of adding some trace minerals and stuff like that to it. So I usually tell people rock dust, compost, and mulch.
Right,
And
the mulch.
soil.
Big thing
See?
about mulch I was watching that mulch, mulch, more mulch, never enough mulch, mulch, mulch.
Right. And here in Malibu, they say, no, you can't use mulch because it's a fire. No,
That's
it's
the
not.
other thing that freaks me out. You see these homes and there's like 3 green bins filled with stuff that could actually just be left in the property. Everyone
Exactly right.
here just throw it back in the yard and it creates more soil. This
Exactly right.
one farm in the Philippines, they were just mulching. And I actually saw you do this with the carapia here. You laid the carapia down like right on top of the dirt. And I go, well, aren't you going to plant that? You go, no,
Not dirt, it's soil.
in the soil. Sorry, right. The soil. Dirt's something you sweep out of your house.
There you go.
If you have dirt in your house, which I do not. Um, she planted the plants right on top of the mulch.
Yeah.
They didn't, they just plop, 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 plop. So,
Mulch to be something that naturally decomposes. So when you have these wood chips and stuff like that, yeah, that's a fire hazard. But when you add your mulch to be duplicating Mother Nature, it usually decomposes, goes back into the ground, adds more soil to it. So the main purpose of mulch is really to protect the compost, to protect that upper layer of soil. So that's why you're always adding mulch, because mulch is decomposing, more mulch decomposes. So you're helping this to build the soil up. And the other thing about mulch is that if you're really, well, like me, I'm really into gardening, so I understand the different parts of the country, different parts of the world. The pH is different. Here in California, we have a very alkaline pH. That means it's above 7. The clay is very alkaline. Lots of plants like it acid, 6.5 pH, a little slightly acid. So if the pH is wrong, the food's not going to be available. So you use the mulch as a way to mellow down your soil. So most mulch that I use here in California are for acid-loving plants. So I buy Azalea gardenia mix or Dr. Earth's planting mix, which are both slightly acid. Adding that as a mulch will help to bring the pH down, which makes the nutrition more and more available. So you don't want to use, and it doesn't burn. It won't burn. So mulch is very important, because if you just do your soil and plant in it, the heat will come and dry everything up. They'll be really super stressed out. You'll be using more water. See, so that's why it's important to blend the compost with your soil, and then you put mulch on top.
Right. And mulch can be, and what could be mulch? I mean, besides
anything could be mulch. Any you can. So in Florida, I was next door to this horse farm, and he had all this hay that he was throwing away. Well, guess what kind of mulch I used in my garden? I got the broken down hay and put it around.
I love the way that looks, actually, when people put hay over the
Right, right. And so there are lots of different things you could use as a mulch, especially if I used to have a shredder, so I made my own mulch. I would get wood chips and run them through the things, and that would end up with really, sawdust makes a nice mulch. What you have to understand about mulch is that you have to use something that when it decomposes, doesn't take away from it. So a lot of times people use grass clippings as mulch, right? Well, the grass clippings and the process of decomposing will take nitrogen away from the soil to decompose, and then put it back. And during that process, the plants don't like that.
Right.
See, right?
And mulch mowers are something you just told me about, that if you have a pile of dead stuff and you just mulch mow it, and there you have mulch, and they're like $200 or $300.
Right. So what's going on here is that people are not allowing Mother Nature to make soil. They take everything away. The process of making soil is not there. So you're going to have to either bring some soil in or let it make the soil. That's why I keep saying plant something. It doesn't matter, because when it dies, they'll be adding to the soil. The more things grow, and the more the root system break it up, the more you have soil. That's how you get soil. The leaves break down into a soil, especially if you have the microbes there who are going to chew on the leaves and make everything a soil. That's the key to it. That's what we have to get cities to understand. No, you don't blow everything away. And the mulching mower is ideal, because instead of taking all that grass clipping and throwing it away, you know how much grass clipping gets thrown away? Ridiculous. That mulching mower, no grass clippings left over. It just crumps it up really nice, turns it right down. I would take leaves, throw them on the lawn, and run over it, right?
Lawn is ridiculous. These lawns. I'm in the, as soon as I get the water thing going, it's in my name and then I can get rid of these ridiculous lawns. When I come up to your neck of the woods, farmland, that's all they're growing is sod.
Isn't that something? And then they ship it to other states. They ship it to other states.
Not growing food.
They're using our water to ship it to other states.
That's why not enough people know what's going on. Because if enough people were talking about this, they wouldn't be growing sod right here. People would be revolting. they would be crusading against this. And that's what I was going to say earlier when I spaced out, because it's kind of heavy. Slavery was abolished through people's awareness. It wasn't just one or two people, it was everyone saying hell no. And this, with what they're doing with the seeds and buying up all this farmland to create genetically modified food, is another form of slavery.
That's right.
I mean, and I'm quoting Vandana Shiva. I wish they were my words, because they're very powerful. So we must grow the food. And we
That's
kind
right,
of
that's right.
spun off on the mulch. So back to the food, Andy.
Okay.
What's easy? What are the easiest things to grow?
Well, again, it depends where you're at. First of all, you want to grow things that normally, so they're vegetables that come from different countries. You start there. If you live, whatever country you live, in the United States, in the United States, we tend to buy vegetables from all over the world. So our vegetable situation is here. It's like we can grow anything we want to. But there are certain things that are easier to grow than other things. And some things are really super hard because you have to know what you're doing, otherwise they die. So it depends on again, you have to know what warm weather crop is and what cold weather crops is. So if you can't grow a cold weather crop when it's warm or a warm weather crop when it's cold, they won't do that. So tomatoes, for example, are warm weather crops.
It's a tongue
right? So if you go in the wintertime, so that's something you have to learn. You can't plant sunflowers in the wintertime, they won't grow. So that's the first thing you want to do. Otherwise, it makes it very, very hard. If you have a greenhouse, even then, you still got to be aware of the temperature. But there are other things. A good rule of thumb is that the bigger the seeds, the easier it is to grow. So radishes, for example, come up with it almost overnight. And radishes, right? Nothing to eat, radishes.
Radishes.
Huh?
Kids love radishes.
Right.
All right.
That's when I will give a talk to schools and they say have the kids grow a garden, I would bring radish seeds because that's the first thing. Within a week, they come back in a week. Oh, they got radishes. They want things to grow fast. And nothing eats them, the same thing with a variety of other things. How easy it is really depends on you. Because if you're really like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do, as opposed to have some idea, gee, maybe we stick it in the ground. Maybe we'll let it water it. We'll give it some time. So the tomatoes are incredibly easy, but they can be very hard for some people. They really just don't understand the basics. So I think instead of keying into what's easy and what's hard, you have to make it easy, like cooking. You cook it, it's very easy, and I go, holy cow, I have to learn, follow the ingredients, follow the rules. So it takes practice. You have to say, okay, I'm going to grow it, I'm going to learn, and that's why we're here. Because you can ask me a question, why I grew this and what happened. And so, and that's always been my thing, is to tell people, look, if the rabbits are eating your vegetables, then there's something going on. Because you learn how to control the rabbits.
Well,
so that's the biggest thing, is animals will come after your organic vegetables.
Right.
So that makes it hard. That makes it hard. You plant something and something else ate it. That's the hardest thing right off the bat, is when you're growing organic, other insects and animals go, hey, that's good stuff. I'm going to eat that. So you have to learn how to deal with these creatures. Otherwise, they will come after it. Then there are pests and diseases. And I tell people, look, if your vegetables are being attacked by pests and diseases, there's something wrong with the plant. It's telling the bugs, eat me because I'm not healthy. So that's the key. You have to key into, how do I make these plants the most vegetables? And why do I eat the vegetables in the first place? You eat them to get the minerals. That's why you eat them. So you say, okay, they have to get their minerals from someplace. I know a lady that says the minerals are in the soil, you don't have to worry about it, but that would be 1,000 years ago. That was true. Now it's like man has disrupted Mother Nature's recycling process that she has, spreading the minerals around the world. So we have to bring the minerals in. That's why the worms come in. That's why the microbes come in. That's why we have to understand, feed the microbes first, have a healthy soil, then you grow whatever you want to. They will grow amazingly in your container or in the soil, especially if you have this living soil to grow in. Does that help?
Right. That helps. That helps. Thank you. Let's see. I was trying to find a note I had. What foods grow well together if I have limited space?
Okay, so usually a rule of thumb is you can grow things together that some things are above ground, some things are below ground. Like, potatoes are below ground, tomatoes are above ground. I told you about the palmetto.
Oh yeah, tell us about that. That's really
So,
cool.
so that's a perfect example of how to utilize two different things. You have a potato and a tomato. You cut a hole. You take a big potato plant and you cut a little hole in the center. You take a seed of the tomato. You put it in there and you plant it. So what happens is the tomato plant grows above ground. The potato ground grows below ground. The potato helps the tomato, and the tomato helps the potato. See what I mean? Right? And so when you're growing things together, you want to say, okay, these things need light, but these things are below ground. Carrots love it below ground. Onions, anything below ground grows really well with other things above ground. Then you learn, for example, okay, so if I plant garlic with my tomatoes are going to taste like garlic. Do I want that? You see, it's actually good. But if you plant garlic with lettuce, your lettuce will taste like garlic. Do I want that? So a few people, like Jeannie, will say, my lettuce tastes like garlic. I go, sorry, I planted garlic with or onion with it. So, but you learn that's a tool that you can use to help those things getting eaten up too. So what you plant together is really a matter of trial and error because every country is different, the environment's different, and you'll learn that things that grow below ground love to grow with things that grow above ground. It's really simple. You can't have too many things above ground because they compete with each other for light and space. And also, you don't want to grow things like pumpkin, which takes over the whole thing. It's a big giant vine, or watermelon, right? Because it'll take over your bed. So, like corn, for example, corn and tomato are great together because the tomato climbs up the corn.
Right. Oh,
The two of them love it together. See, right? But if you're trying to go corn and lettuce, a little good lettuce down there won't do too well.
right.
So it's just a matter of being smart as to what you grow.
Well, tomatoes have grown really well there. When I, 10 years ago, I had no clue what I was doing, and those just went wild, like to the point of I needed to get rid of them. There was just rosemary, arugula. Those have been the easy ones for me. Carrots, but they look so weird when I actually pull them out. I don't know if we're keeping them in the ground too long or I don't, they kind of all deformed
Right.
and
The
not
longer you keep in the ground, the more funny shape they're going to get.
right, right. What else did Alex say? Um, see, she talks about seasons. California, we don't have that, but she's asking which foods grow in which seasons, and when do I need to harvest these foods?
Right. That's why I was calling warm weather crop and cold weather crops.
Right.
So you should say warm weather crops, you grow them when your season is warm, usually in spring and summertime. And cold weather crop, you grow them in the fall and winter.
Are
That's
there
what
any foods that you could grow year round?
well, again, it depends on your environment. Here, for example, you can grow lots of things year round that you normally would not be able to grow uh, for example, here in Malibu, it has a mellow summer times, and it used to be a mellow anyway. So you can grow lettuce, you can grow things you would grow during the winter time. As a matter of fact, if you're growing in a greenhouse, you can grow certain things year round because you can control the temperature. The key to it is the soil temperature.
Right. It's been very, very cold. One of the twins went to these 13-year-olds, they love the TikTok and they love to watch people eat. And they saw these two people, this cute couple eating an aloe vera plant. So they were so excited. The TikTokers had a slice about like that. They slimmed the skin off, took the white part out of the middle and started chomping away on it.
That's
No.
right.
So I go, well, go out front, grab the aloe vera, this big long one. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I don't know if that's the edible
That's
one.
not the edible one.
It's not the edible one. It's the topical one.
Yeah.
It's the topical. So even like something as stupid as that, I'm just talking about myself, that I was telling my kid, yeah, go cut the aloe vera plant and let's eat the middle of it. And then I noticed he cut the leaf. We looked at it. I had a feeling this isn't going to be right, but it had froze. He goes, why is the interior, why is it gray like that? And I touched it and it was frozen here in Malibu.
That's right. Aloe vera is not a warm loving plant. A
Not, it's
cold loving. It
not a,
doesn't.
right.
Right,
But we
right.
are a desert. This is where the
Yeah.
desert sea.
And you're lucky because if you had the plant, you should understand you just can't go start eating aloe vera plants because you may have diarrhea and may have go to the bathroom real, real fast because that's what it does to you if you eat too much. So you have to learn how to take a little bit, let your body get used to it, learn how much. Because a lot of people, if you ask those people that have been chewing on it, they've been doing it for a long time.
Right.
But your kids have been drinking the aloe vera juice, so they have a little bit of advantage over other people who doesn't never had aloe vera in their body.
They could only drink George's,
Yeah.
if I may say that. I mean, that is unbelievable that it's distilled to taste like water. I keep a jug in the fridge. They're always glugging it. Never a problem. They're regular. I haven't, but
But,
it's phenomenal.
but you can grow a lot of aloe vera on your property all over the
Edible,
place.
the edible one.
The edible one. Well, it's
Okay.
the same as the one you use for topical. There's just a variety of different plants available. So there's a certain variety that you can get. It's a little bit more mellow, easier to use because you can eat it. You can put it on burns and stuff. There are a
It's
couple
called
other varieties.
Barbaratus or
Right,
something.
right,
That
right,
was the edible one.
right. And so they'll go really well on your property. Like in your place, you can learn how to buy things, grow things that actually like it in the desert environment. They don't need hardly any water at all. And that's why you're into keying into medicinal plants. Lots of medicinal plants you can
Just,
grow that just love it.
yeah. Yeah, I really would love to grow, milk thistle and learn how to make tinctures. There used to be a course, and I don't know, maybe Susan Weed.
She's still doing it.
Well, she's still doing it, isn't she?
She's still doing it. I get emails from her all the time, how to
It-
make this, how to make that, you know.
right. She's something else. And, I got to say, I had no clue that you were going to be able to get David Avocado Wolf on the show that fast. I felt like such a airhead when he was on. I just couldn't believe it. I was so unprepared. But at my new moon Kundalini yoga class the other morning, we had the new moon Saturday. Guru Jah says, I love David Avocado Wolf because he says coconut water will cure everything.
It's
And I
true.
thought, oh my God, my yoga teacher's quoting
Saw
David
it.
Avocado Wolf.
Be surprised how many people are watching it and stuff. And it all goes back to healing the proper food. Because we've been, but by we, I don't mean you and I, because you and I have been eating better food than the average person. They go out and eat all this junk food. They don't eat anything healthy for them. And yes, they're going to get sick. Yes, they're going to have all kinds of problems. And that's a big thing. If you eat his healthy food, you're going to cure yourself right off the bat. You don't have to go to the doctor and says, I need more pills. So they don't like that. I think the two are basically the same people. You're the very same person. The agriculture and medicine are in the boat together. Somebody told me,
Culture used to mean tending the farm, making not like raping the soil, not
right,
industrializing. And farming. Farming is the whole reason we're in this messed up situation.
exactly
Because
right.
of the farming. Our topsoil's gone. The Canadians are talking about this place, this island off of Vancouver in BC that has 2 feet of topsoil. And this guy, they're going to obliterate that for some uh, piping or, I don't know. It's something horrible.
Right.
So we have to get back to basics, IG.
Right.
The-
And in Central America, you would think they have lots of soil, but they're doing the same thing. Condos are going up.
And they don't realize you take the trees down, the trees create rain and the whole photosynthesis cycle. And I don't understand how we lost,
Trees are called the lungs of the earth.
and we're what's Brazil
And
doing?
we just keep cutting them down. Right. And a long time ago, I say, look, why don't we pay these countries not to cut down their trees? We pay our farmers not to grow. Why can't we go to Canada or Africa or wherever, say, here, we're going to pay you to keep your forest. So they don't have to cut it down. They don't have, what they cut?
More money in the oil and the genetic, I don't know exactly, corporate, dinglings that think that they're really monopolizing everyone now. It's a real issue. It's really, and I hope, I know that everyone's going to get on board more and more and more. It's just going to
More and more people are, right. If you're hungry, you should be able to go outside and pick your food.
That's right.
If you're working with other people.
I've seen you pick food at your client's home, where I will see something that's so ripe and I'll kind of just yank
Look
it.
at it.
And yank it. You just kind of wait. You go like that and wait for it to kind of drop in your hand. And if it doesn't drop in your hands, you don't take it.
So, and it's a big difference buying something that the tree gives you. Say, here, thank you for taking care of me. And you eat that, and you can test that. You can do a refractometer reading. You can take it to the lab, and they go, "Oh my God, look at all the trace minerals. Where did you get all these trace minerals?" See, and it's a big difference in stuff you go in the store. That was, first of all, they pick them. Well, first of all, they're not grown organically. Secondly, they pick them green so they can ship them to you in time to ripen. And then they don't ripe; they rot. They
Right.
literally rot. A lot of times you buy stuff before you get home, it's rotten.
I know, like the avocados.
Exactly right, and that's just gone because there's no energy to it, no energy. And you know, the rodeo people say you are what you eat. You know, and so if you get something that's dead, you're eating something that's dead, no energy, you're going to be dead, no energy too.
Yeah. An old yoga teacher used to say, you want junk body, you eat the junk food, then you get the junk body.
Exactly, and that's what we're all about here. Because we're not only that's why it was wonderful to get David on avocado on, you know, Wolf,
Yeah.
because he relates to gardening and health. He relates to that. And that's the key. That should be the foundation. We shouldn't have to be able to take anything other than what we grow. And what I always tell people, look, you can have a community of people and they can all share what they grow, because some people are very good at growing this. Some people have actually have animals, you
He's
know.
that Farmer Rishi in Diamond Bar. He's feeding his whole block.
That's
He got rid of
exactly right. Exactly.
the crop, got rid of the lawn. I think we talked about this, and has more food than he knows what to do with.
Exactly right.
Postage stamp property. I mean,
Exactly right.
so
And
I'm so impressed with that and inspired by that.
in 1970, when I was doing, well, it was before that. I was in this. I went into this. I got out of the service in 1970, so it was before. I went in 68, so it was probably 66, 65 when I was growing in my parents' house. So I had so much things growing. People used to come by and they would, you know, walk across down the sidewalk. They would pick my tomato plant that was growing on the thing, and I would watch them and I say, you should ask me for it because I'm happy to give it to you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a little container out. You give me some money. They used to come around and say, I would like your food. I would like your vegetables. I grew so much that my neighborhood, which people will come around, we're not going shopping. We're going to go get the food from you because there's a big difference. The animals will go and eat it because that's what we should do. We should be able to share what we go. Some person may have 100, like remember the avocado guy, how all these avocado trees? Well, he has a lot more than he can eat. And so he can sell it right across the street, neighbors and stuff. That's it. That's the way to go. And then you have restaurants that will come out and buy your vegetables and buy your food, walk and do it.
People are doing that. They're doing it in New
Yeah.
York City. They have their garden up on their rooftop and they, and
That's
it's
what we want.
it's
That's
really
exactly what we want.
wonderful.
There's a big difference when you pick a vegetable and you eat it, or they pick a vegetable and maybe a week or two later you eat it. Big difference.
Right.
I know. That's it. When I go shopping, I go, when was this picked? Right? You know?
Wow. Let food be thy medicine. Hippocrates.
That's it, in fact. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And if you want to grow food, you had better start collecting seeds. You need the seeds.
Yeah. There's a
There are
seed
lots of seed
here in
banks.
California because they want to, you're absolutely right about that. Seeds are going to be hard to come by.
And part of the trick is when you grow something, you let one plant go to seed. So seed that comes from something you grew there. Like if you grow something in your backyard, for example, lettuce or that celery you grew, and you take the seed from that one, the seeds will be acclimated to your yard, to your environment. And then you'll have more and more seeds, and you can actually do a little business trading seeds with other people. But that's what you do. You always let something go to seed that you grow.
Right. Right. Let something go to seed, which that's really a amazing concept. But people like everything to look perfect. If you let celery go to seed, it's growing gigantic and then it has to dry out. But that's the way to go. That's what's real.
And you'll have tons and same thing with your flowers. Same thing with your flowers. You let a lot of flowers go to seed because they recycle themselves. But you can take some of those seeds, dry them off, and then put them somewhere else. Put them around other places. So that's what you do. You always have this recycling thing going on, and each seed that's growing from there gets better and better because you keep taking that seed that grows there, and they will love it in your environment because they get acclimated to grow there. And that's a really cool way to make the seeds grow in your environment.
Gotcha. All right, Captain Crazy. Invisible Gardener. Over and out.
Over and out. All right,
let's
bye,
do it.
everybody. Take care now.
Bye,
Visit our
thank
website.
you.
Go ahead.
InvisibleGardener.com,
Right.
inquiry page.
Sign up for our newsletter. Have a great day, everybody. Take care now. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Bye, IG.